Hey guys, it's SD, your host of the Life Picks Relationship podcast, where people with all sorts of backgrounds, challenges, and life experience show us how they make their relationship extraordinary. Hey guys, we're here today with Ezra Max. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me tonight.
Great. You want to tell us a bit about yourself and what you do?
So first, a disclaimer. Disclaimer is I'm awkwarded out by being on a video or a podcast, but I like to try new things, and I think it's important to stretch our limits. So at the beginning of this week, I wrote down on my goal sheet that I'm going to do a podcast. Going to plan it, going to execute it. It's going to happen. Must have a podcast. And then you reached out. I was like, okay, thank you, Hashem. We now have a podcast in the making.
Are you serious?
I'll show you the paper when we're done. Absolutely.
Oh,
So this
wow.
was a great idea. And then I don't even think we knew each other a week and a half ago. So this is totally new, the whole idea that you're planning, and I'm so excited to actually learn a little bit about this whole thing about relationship photography and art and journaling all mixed in to make relationships awesome, because I think at the end of the day, probably one of the most important things that we have in life is our relationships.
Yes.
We're humans, and humans are human beings, not human doings. I know some of us are kind of robotic, but it feels like it's a compensation mechanism for something. But human beings are beings, not doings, and we need other people. Some people tell me they hate other people. I try to feel more compassion and empathy instead of just write off the comment. And then not always do I want to explore it. It sort of sits in the back of my head, so that whenever I think, oh, like I want to hate people now, I'm like, no, important, because I know that you said we're going to talk about things that make your relationships awesome. And as I thought about that, I thought, well, that's cool. How about if we talk about what not to do in relationships? Because that'll just mix things up. Like, what? Don't you ever do that? But it's your format. I'm with here on,
Awesome. First thing, what should you never ever do in a relationship? Actually, before we go there, you want to just tell us a bit about yourself so we know who we're talking to?
this is like a trick question, right? I am a very perfectly flawed human being who aspires and strives to constantly work on myself and better myself and make a difference with and for others. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, in a family of rabbis and teachers, and probably pre-planned, or the official track would have been to go down that road. And at some point, I said I was going to go into the business world, and I did that. And then September 11, 2001 happened. Some of our audience may not remember that personally, and having been seeing an EMT for 26 plus years now, like every other EMT, instead of running away from the plane, Bill ran towards it. And there were some events that had to do with, wow, I can't believe I still trigger myself when I talk about this. So 30 seconds made the difference between being able to be here with you on this podcast and not. Because the guys I were with, I stopped to put on tefillin before we left. I wouldn't leave without putting on my tefillin and saying Kriya Shema. And one of the EMTs who was with me is like, are you crazy? People are like, we got to go. This is an emergency. Could daven later. I was like, no, I need to do this now. And so I'm not proud, but it was quick, and we were out the door, and the debris from the building hit the ambulance he was in. I was right behind them. That's how close we were to being dead. Shortly thereafter, in the process of processing, I realized that life had to have more meaning and purpose than whatever I was doing, and another $1 million in sales or whatever else I was up to probably was not it. And so that led to some really deep soul searching, and I sort of switched gears and spent the last close to 20 years full time helping, supporting, and coaching families with teenagers. Give or take a little bit on the teenager side. So everything changes now. I got lost in whatever I was saying. Bottom line is, it's been an awesome, awesome bunch of years with such tremendous amount of relationships and struggles, and navigating some of the most difficult and complex situations people are faced with. Teenagers. Not making fun, just saying it's a process. And I value every moment of it and every single one of those relationships along the way. I like to say I have 5 teenagers of my own right now at home. They range in age from 22 to 12, going on 22. And it's fun. It's exciting. Life is full. I'm not sure if that's what you were asking, but there it is.
Wow. So, do you want to tell us what not to do in relationships?
Sure. What did you want me to say? Maybe I can do it. I can follow instructions.
No instructions. My only rule is that there is no rules.
Wow. And I did a parenting workshop the other day, and we were talking about this, and And I said that's really critical to have rules, and it's really critical to break rules. And it's really critical to know when to enforce the rules, and it's as critical to know when to not enforce the rules. Practiced ignorance is really a skill, especially when working with teams. What not to do. If we ignore our relationship, we won't have that. It's not a relationship. If we're not relating, well, it could be a relationship, but it might be dysfunctional. So let's talk about functional relationships. How's that?
We're talking about extraordinary relationships, awesome relationships.
Wow. Key components to extraordinary relationship: mutual respect, appreciation, and communication.
And so, how does one achieve that?
Hold on. Tactically speaking, let's talk about this. Let's break it down, right? We want to walk away with tactics, or we want to walk away with strategy. And if you tell me both, I'm going to start laughing.
I will say both.
Yeah, okay. Okay, let's give tactics. Let's talk tactics, right?
Okay.
Tactically, how do we show respect? How do we give respect?
You're asking me?
Well, I could ask you if you could ask me, no?
Respect. We show respect by respecting a person for being a person. We respect their needs and we respect their desires and letting them be a person.
That's great. That's awesome. Now we need to somehow not only feel it and think it and be aware of it, we have to be intentional about it. We have to do something about it. We have to acknowledge it in some way, whether in word or otherwise.
Right.
And when we do that, everything changes. If I just look at you and I think, wow, so awesome, young person, determined, motivated, stepping out there, get some old fogey, step out of his comfort zone, get on a podcast and make this thing happen, props to you. Now, I didn't have to say it, but I've been thinking it, so now it just pops out. But even if I wouldn't say it, you might actually pick up on it somehow in the dialogue, because of the nonverbals. Most of our communication is nonverbal.
100%. Yeah.
Obviously, we shouldn't be saying mean, and we should be saying positive things, loving things, caring things, good things, compliments, etc. But we need to not only have it in word, it needs to be internal, it needs to be something that we get intentional about, and then we can say it and project it. And that will, most times, generate significant results. In fact, we have mirror neurons. Go figure. Who would have known? We have mirror neurons. When we act one way towards somebody, generally, we get a similar reaction back.
Yep.
Okay. So actually this afternoon I was in a workshop with a business client, not only teenagers, so I evolved. I left that out of my story. The last 2 to 5 years, I sort of shifted out and started working with entrepreneurs, business owners, salespeople, etc. And so I do different types of workshops and trainings with people, either one-on-one to help them really shift their focus, mindset, grow, build, develop, or even with their teams of people. So actually this afternoon we did one on customer service. And some people were saying they get too many emails, they're overwhelmed, the phones are always ringing, it's just such a thing. It gets to them, and I thought, wow, what's the sort of worst thing that I asked them? I said, what's the worst thing that happens? Does anybody ever yell at you like really badly on the phone? And one of the women in the workshop said, oh my gosh, and like I saw a name I saw a name in her face. I didn't even know who the main name is. I just thought, and people were nodding their head around the table. We've all had that experience. And I said, do you realize that person yelling at you is not really yelling
at you?
They're just yelling. And so here's a moment of kindness, and here's where we get compassionate. I said, if you could commit to the person on the phone that you will serve their needs, because you're a service-oriented business, and you will get whatever you need to get done in a time, give them a time frame, and let them know they can count on you to get back to them, and you will commit to getting this done at this time. And you're there to serve and help them, and if there's anything else, you're glad to try and help them out. In all probability, within 60 to 90 minutes, they will call you back and apologize for yelling at you and let you know that it's probably something family-related or business-related potentially that was bugging them, and they're sorry they took it out. My statistics, that's what happened. Not only to me, but to people I've trained.
Yeah.
And the net result is this, that I've said this for years, and again, I can't really prove it, but people nod their heads and agree when I say this. If something's breaking at home, something starts breaking at work. If something's breaking at work, something starts breaking at home. I can't tell you how many conversations I've been with the parent of a teen who's struggling, either the parent struggling or the teen struggling. And it could be the parent's business is part of why the team might be struggling, and it could be that the parent's business is struggling because the team is struggling, and it's having an impact in their lives. And so that's sort of the crossover where some of the amazing families that I've gotten to know, and I can help them in their business life as well, because there's tons of things that are going on at work that kind of mirror what goes on in our families. So we think about relationships as maybe marriage or parenting, but There's also neighbors getting along. I had a dispute with the neighbor. Well, a dispute had a neighbor with me. He put a fence down the middle of my driveway. I'm living here for 20 years. This guy buys the house next door, moves in, and before I know it, there's a fence literally down the middle of my driveway. And it took me time to realize, wait a minute, hold on. They say good fences make for good neighbors. Well, there is no more fence, and he's moved and he lives someplace else. I'm pretty sure it wasn't even about me. It took me time to kind of internalize that, but there was something going on with them.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I don't know what it is. Maybe I don't know I don't need to know it. I'm happy to have my driveway back. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. Next question. What's the first thing? Next one. So we said respect, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm on my next question. I'm still on the first question. Communication. Wow, I have so much to say about communication. How long do we have again?
How long do you want?
Let's see. Okay. So many times we think that communication is about what we're saying. And I would venture to say that way more important than what we're saying, how well are we listening? And I know that technically I listen professionally. I struggle with it all the time. I should be embarrassed to admit how difficult it is to really listen properly all the time. And it's critical because how do we properly know what the person we're trying to relate to is communicating if we're not really listening? And when I say really listening, I mean slowing down our molecule, being present, opening ourselves up to really hearing what they're saying, not only the words they're using, but everything that's behind that as well. And when we do that, we begin to see someone else and understand where somebody else is coming from. Generally, they feel heard. And when people feel heard, I think they feel valued, appreciated, loved, and nurtured. So we got respect, or we have a model for respect. We've got to not only think it, be intentional about it, we can say things about it. We've got listening. We call it communication. We've got listening. I got to give you one. Say one more before. I don't remember.
Yes.
Go ahead. Do you remember? It's really, the, what's his name, his book? The 5 Love Languages. Gary Chapman. 5 Love Languages. Mm-hmm. It's, my kids call it my official Sheva Bracha speech. And they groan and they say, oh, no, not that one again. And I grin and I say, can you guys tell it to me? They almost can. And so that's awesome. I think it's amazing that even my little one probably can rattle it off at this point, because there are things that we don't have, when we practice something, when we want to develop a new habit, it's difficult. And we're human. So we forget, we trip, we fall, we slip, we gravitate to easier. There's a lot of reasons why we don't stay on the straight and narrow, doing the thing we intended to do and plan to do and we're going to do, except for the few people who are more robotic about things. And then, of course, we want to make them more human. So they've got to work on that habit. They've got to develop that thing. They're great at following rules, but they
need emotions and
they have to learn how to break rules, like where we started from. They got to learn that just because it's a rule, it's okay to just deviate just a little bit. If you go over the little yellow line just a tad, it's okay. They don't have to go exactly 55 because that's what the sign says. 56 is allowed. You won't get a ticket for it. And if people are behind you honking, it's just doing a little bit more. We need to practice and remind ourselves and review and practice the habit we're trying to develop until it becomes sort of second nature, ingrained in us. And then, I don't know about other people, but for me, I find sometimes I slip back to the thing I was doing before I have my new habit. And so I've got to go back to either my notebook or my thing and say, hey, let me do this again. So if that's about doing something for me, that's important to me, that's something that I want. If I don't do this in my relationship, then I'm for sure going to slip back to not doing something I'm intending to do. I'm going to for sure forget to do that thing that I'm going out of my way to do. And it's probably important to say this, that we need to go out of our way for our loved ones. We need to go out of our way to do things and to connect and to honor and be in relationship with people. And if we ignore it, like we said before, then ignore it.
Yeah, if you don't put into it, it's not going to get anywhere.
Life is like an escalator. It's going up or down. It's never just staying.
Yeah, and everything.
You know what it was? He never took the New York City transit system because there the escalators never go anywhere. But yeah, so different life, I guess. Maybe, okay, let's not make fun. Can I make a political joke? Is that inappropriate? Is that okay? We have a mayor who came up with a program for driver safety. It's called Vision Zero. And they went ahead and they changed all the lighting in the city to be more energy efficient. So they put LED lights that give less dispersal of light. So the streets are actually darker. So they have stickers on all these city vehicles that says, your choices behind the wheel matter. Vision Zero. And I thought, wow, what a stupid slogan. Sorry for using that word. Vision Zero? Who wants to be a zero? That's nonsense. Who has zero vision? That's crazy. Vision zero as a program for pedestrian safety? Epic fail, Mr. Mayor. Epic fail. And if we look around the city, I mean, look what we have. I don't know if that has to do with anything, but I think we have to have Vision 1000 when it comes to relationships. We have to have a huge vision. And that vision has to have a list of things that we're going to do and things we're going to look forward to doing, things that we may never ever get to doing, but we have it because then we'll never ever run out of things. Because the worst feeling in the world is to say, I did everything.
No, you never did everything.
Right. But we have to have a vision. It's still, if we go back to our tactics, I'm going to say, we've got to have, I'm going to start with the end. We've got to have a vision.
Yeah, because if you don't know where you're going, then where you're going.
So, great story. So my 18-year-old, when she was like 7 or 8, we got into the car for a fall night trip. And we're, like a bunch of kids in the car, and we're going somewhere, and nobody knows really where we're going, and it's noisy back there. I mean, it's a minivan with kids, and we're going on a trip, but we haven't determined the destination yet. And this one's saying zoo and intrepid and park and flying kites and boating and ideas of flying like man. And I'm kind of starting to drive, and I'm thinking, wow, it really sounds like everybody doesn't want to do what anybody else wants to do. It's going to be a fun day of kids yelling in the back of the car. But in the meantime, I'm going to say we went somewhere because we're just going to drive. And this little 8-year-old voice pops up from the back of the car. And she's like, hey, where are we going? I'm like, I don't know. I'm waiting for you guys to decide. She goes, but you're driving. I said, yeah. So she says, but we didn't decide. We're still negotiating. I don't know if she said negotiating. We're still trying to figure it out. I said, yeah, so I'm just going to drive until you tell me where to go. She goes, but how are we ever going to get there if you don't know where we're going yet?
Yes.
I'm telling you, we got to remember those things. How are we ever going to get there if you don't know where we're going? It's awful.
Right.
I think that should be like the headline. How are we ever going to get there if we don't know where we're going? Okay.
Yes.
So we've got to have a vision.
Okay, so we have a vision, yeah.
We've got to have a vision. It should not be vision 0. It's got to be like vision 1,000 plus.
1 million, yeah.
1 million is not enough in today's.
Right.
The worst thing in the world to have, low goals. Just $1 million?
Nah,
okay.
$1 million to start with for this week.
There we go. There we go. Million, same page. Awesome. Million starting point. We grow from there. Vision 1 million. We're going to be respectful. We're going to be intentional about the respect that we have for the people we want to be in a relationship with. We're going to have a plan for how to do that. If you don't have a plan, if you can't make a plan, if you get lost in your plan, you can call me. They can call you. They'll journal about it. You'll take pictures of them figuring it out. We can talk about it. We don't have to talk about it. It'll get figured out. And then we're going to listen. We're going to really, you're a great listener, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely a fabulous listener. You engage and you're there and you just sort of just draw it out with your ears and you're just like pulling out the information. You're doing great.
Thank you.
And so we're going to really, really listen. And we're going to listen in a way that's so powerful that the people talking will know that you hear them. There's tactics on how to do this, and we can spend all the time talking about how to listen. Maybe another episode we can go a deep dive and that respect, communication.
That'll be awesome.
So we have 3.
Third one is
vision, respect, and communication, which we really call listening.
Listening, yeah.
There's some other stuff we could do, but I think 3 is more than anybody's really going to do anyway at any given time. Because truthfully, if we try to do more than 3 things at once, we'll do none of them well.
Right.
So if we take 3, we break it down, we work on it, let's say 30, 60, 90 days. If we get 1 out of 3 done, we still have the rest of the year to go, but that's cool. So if you try to work on 3 things per quarter, by the end of the year, that'll be 12. That's a pretty awesome difference. It's not an incremental difference, it's an exponential difference because you're building on a good foundation and you're building and building and building. I sound like I'm doing a business workshop. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go there. We're talking about relationships still. But guess what? I haven't found a guy who's in business or a gal who's in business that's not relating to other people. Because it seems to me every business is based on relationships.
Our world, our lives is relationships. Wherever we go, we're surrounded by people.
Although I am looking for a vacation spot where it would be just me. So if you find one,
A private island.
1, 2, 3. I gave you 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is what you wanted. I have no idea.
Perfect. This is awesome. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know about you, but
stepping out on the wild side. No idea. Yeah.
So you said you wanted to tell us what not to do in a relationship.
Oh, I forgot. Is that what I started with?
That is how you started, yes.
If you are determined to destroy your relationship, make sure do not have a be disrespectful and never let
Okay.
You are absolutely not.
Sounds like a plan.
Now we got one. Not well, yeah.
Right? Exactly. Have you always done this? Like at what point in your life have you come to these 3 things to do this and make your relationship really good?
I don't think I've always done. I have to answer the question the way you're asking. It's a developmental process for me.
For everyone.
Sometimes trial and error, and it's not always successful. It doesn't always hit the spot. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always turn out the way we want it to. But there are some things that seem to be universal truth. Everyone seems to want to be respected. Everybody wants to be heard. And so with those two cornerstones, we can really change the dynamic.
Yeah. I want to know now, everything that you just said, three main things of how to have an extraordinary relationship. Is that what you did to make your relationship extraordinary?
Well, my vision for extraordinary is way, way, way ahead of me. I'm still working on it. So yeah, I do things with vision and intention. I look at it as a strategic approach that I need to constantly be on top of and working with. But in the broadest, most direct way, yeah, just bumbling around, being lost and tripping over myself and sort of making the same mistake over and over and not knowing what I was doing or where I was doing it or how to do it, that is not effective. And from that developed what do I want to create? How am I going to go about creating? Having that conversation, talking it through, hearing, listening, understanding, figuring it out.
Was there something specific that happened that made you figure it out?
Like I say, I'm still trying to figure it out. So yeah, it's a rough answer. I don't know that any one specific event. I think it's the aggregate of life.
Yeah. Okay, great. Anything else you want to share with us?
Two things. A, your highest level of training and information is your best possible self. If you don't have training and education and knowledge and feedback, your best possible version of yourself is staring at you in the mirror. Get educated. Learn something new. Try it. Talk to people. Read. Listen. Watch. Doesn't make a difference. Yes, be selective about who you're listening from. Absolutely. Be a connoisseur of what you're feeding your brain with, because sometimes there's stuff that sneaks in you don't really want in there. But again, if our best and highest self is actually performing at the best and highest level to our training and knowledge and information, we better get a lot of it. And if we don't, that's on us. I would venture to say that might be lack of vision. Some people like to read, some people like to listen, some people like to watch. There's tons of stuff out there. So today I did a different workshop in a corporate office. Yeah. Interestingly, when I described how uncomfortable, and I kept looking at the camera, it enrolled some of the people who were uncomfortable being quote unquote schooled. And they heard me stretching. They heard me
be vulnerable so they could also go out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, I don't know if it was even, maybe it's vulnerability. Maybe that's the underpinning of it. Yeah,
because then people see your flaws, I think.
Yeah, I was just being real. So
yeah.
Flaws, yeah, I'm flawed. I say this all the time. It's like a thing for me. I'm perfectly imperfect. Probably will always be perfectly imperfect.
Like all of us, yeah.
If I ever make it to perfection, I might be.
That is the way it goes. The second you're perfect, you're not here anymore.
Well, I'm probably not supposed to quote Bon Jovi, and you might not be old enough to know what I'm talking about, but he had a song about only the good die young. I think that's maybe what he was alluding to. I don't know. Hey, can you remind me the question? I forgot.
Ask me what else you want to say, and you said you have two things.
Just for the record, this happens to me. It happens to me on stage. It's just a thing. I go with it.
You're just so in tune with what needs to be now that forget everything else and
in the moment.
Let's stay focused. Exactly that.
No, there was no planning, and I had no idea what this was going to be, and just here we are. It's pure. It's real. It is what it is. As perfectly imperfect as it is.
So if I ask you now, is there anything else you want to share? What would you say?
You just don't stop, do you? No, I think we're good for now. There's probably more stuff. I'll think about it. Maybe we can do this.
So we'll have you another time on.
Please. This was fun. Shout out to all my people who know me, who are going to figure out that it's me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. Thanks guys for listening. Leave a comment below. I'd love to know what you think. And to book a relationship photo shoot, CJE session, or just to find out about more what we do, go to lifepicsrelationships.as.me. I'm waiting to hear from you.